The moment of contact experienced by troops on the front line. Intense action and a heightened blur of sights, sounds and emotions. A majority of personnel are able to process these experiences and settle back into normal life when they come home. But for some, moments of trauma can stay with them for years to come. And that's what journalist Matthew Green is exploring in his new book, Aftershock. From his own experiences with troops on the front line, the book is a modern-day take on post-traumatic stress disorder. It's been compiled by speaking to veterans who are living with it and their families and partners who deal with the aftermath. Matthew is arguing for a change in approach, for PTSD to be seen as a recognisable physical injury.
I know that the military and NHS and others are trying to improve the support they offer to serving and former service personnel, which is very important. At the same time, I haven't shrunk from exposing where I think the system is falling down, and I'm very much hoping that Aftershock will serve as a catalyst for constructive conversations about how we as a country can do a better job of supporting veterans.
In Perth, Matthew held a panel discussion with some of the top psychologists in Scotland, a country he says is leading the way in new treatments for PTSD and trauma. Dr Alistair Hull is the clinical lead at Veterans First Point Tayside, a one-stop shop for veterans in Dundee. He's been working with psychologist Lisa Schwartz and Dawn Harris from the Manor Hall Centre for Trauma, which recently opened in Stirling. They're pioneering a new form of treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder that works by focusing on a different part of the brain. They argue that traditional treatments for PTSD, like cognitive behavioural therapy, known as CBT, only target the top part of the brain, the thinking part, to try and change patterns of thought. But they argue that trauma, particularly the complex multiple traumas experienced by military personnel, are actually stored much lower down in the brain stem, and treatments need to target these more basic levels of the brain.
Where we feel fear or shame or guilt or anger is actually at the brain stem, so it's down here, it's at the bottom of the brain, not in the thinking brain at the top. And cognitive behavioural psychotherapy works on the thinking brain. And we need to work on the fear centre, on the centres that experience guilt and shame. And the treatments that do that are things like the comprehensive resource model. You're trying to, if you like, the processing would be called bottom-up. CBT would do top-down.
Whilst the stigma around mental health for serving personnel and veterans is wearing down, Matthew hopes to continue to raise awareness with this book, offering an insight into innovative forms of treatment for PTSD that will open up the discussion. Ali Gibson, Forces News, Perth.